It's Legends Week on Radio 1. And when we use that term legend, we don't use it loosely.
No, two leg ends, one attached to each foot. You know.
Come on, Bruce, you're spoiling my introduction. I spent minutes on this. This band have been making music for 29 years, headlining festivals around the world for 23 albums, and to date they've sold over 1 billion T-shirts. I don't think that's actually true, but it sounds pretty impressive.
That's a lot.
Until today, the only time that they've set foot in Maiden Studios was in 1979 for the late, great Tommy Vance's rock show. In the world of rock, there is simply no other act that comes close to this band's achievement. Iron Maiden on Legends Week. How was that for an introduction?
No, it's spectacular.
Thanks.
You're
Right
talking
on.
about us?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, right, okay.
You and your mates, you and your best mates, down the line of Maiden Vegas. It's great to have you here, Bruce. Thank you so much for coming and doing this and being a part of this week.
Well, it's an unusual event, coming into Maiden Vale with Iron Maiden. It really is. I mean, because obviously Radio 1, we've had our ups and downs with over the years, and
that can have an effect on bands, but for you guys, it doesn't seem to have. And I mean, you've maintained your credibility, you've maintained your audience, and built upon that throughout your career. And you're one of the only bands, I think, of a group of peers of your status that continually make records on average every 3 years. So ultimately, where do you sort of see Iron Maiden fitting nowadays? Because you've talked before about how young the audiences have been this summer. That must be encouraging for you,
Well, yeah, it's very encouraging, and it's very gratifying because you don't want to go out and play to a kind of sedentary audience.
Yeah.
You really don't.
You don't want to preach to the converted. Basically.
No, I mean, at the age of 47, I'm not down the front. Even if I really love the band, I stand at the back and I watch and smile and
take a privileged viewpoint, privileged viewpoint,
and all the rest of it. Because if I was down the front and if things were getting really hairy like they do, with young kids, I mean, I'd be stretched off, and quite rightly so.
Right.
I mean, like my kids. 15 and 13, and I know what they get up to. And when they were at Reading, I mean, apparently in the mosh pit, being I mean, one of them I think was being used as a guided missile, and they do that for sort of like about 4 hours, and then they come back and they're still not asleep at 2 in the morning.
But you're responsible for this. I mean, yes, you're responsible for those two, personally responsible for those two.
I had some help,
right? Obviously, yes, the missus. But you're also, you're responsible for a lot of the behaviour that goes on in gigs. Today, your band. I mean, you talk about the mosh pit like you've never heard the term before, but ultimately,
this is the strange thing about moshing is that it's something that doesn't occur that much at Maiden shows. But Maiden is about participating, and whilst the energy around the band is horror show and scary and dramatic and everything else, it's not. Ironically, it's not a destructive energy, it's a joyful energy. It's it's delighting in watching beat picture horror movies and go, oh yeah, great, hang on, and our head's gonna come off, yeah, there goes the chainsaw, cool. And I listen to my kids. I mean, when my kids saw The Exorcist, which when I was a kid, The Exorcist, oh my god, The Exorcist, it's really scary.
I still haven't seen it.
And he sat there and he was like munching away on his sandwich going, this is a cool movie, Dad, until the moment when her head turned round and he burst out laughing.
It's ridiculous, right? They think it's ridiculous nowadays.
That's ridiculous. He said, that's really funny. I said, it's really scary. He said, it's not scary, it's ridiculous. I said, that's somebody jumping up and down on a bed, with green stuff coming out of their mouth. He said, that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely don't. I mean, they don't get that. It's like me trying to tell, teenagers these days to watch Airplane or any of those stupid, like, goofy movies, Top Secret, and tell them it's the funniest movie ever, and they'll just sit there like, what?
Worryingly enough, I was introduced to South Park.
Right. That's genius, though. You've got to get into that.
No, absolutely.
I mean, basic cartoons are pretty much giving us, in my opinion, these, the greatest commentaries these days. Family Guy, Simpsons, South Park. I'm all for all of them.
Seen Team America?
Gene, come on, Gene.
The uncut version of Team America?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
The romance went a little far on that one, I think. The romance went a little far.
Very good, though. Anyway, enough about movies. Music.
Speaking of going far, in terms of performing live, you touched on it before. You throw so much production into your live shows, and it's become as big a part of the band as the music to a certain extent for fans, I think, going and seeing Iron Maiden perform live. I know you guys are all business. You take it seriously, and you're there to entertain and you're there to rock. Have there been times when you've been performing when things have perhaps gone wrong and you've sort of collapsed into uncontrollable fits of laughter because it just, what I mean?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Well, no, not all the time, but on several occasions. In fact, we're usually cracking on, and we're pretty busy. So really falling around into uncontrollable fits of laughter,
we kind of break the veneer a little bit of the whole show.
There's all kinds of stuff goes on. Little stuff. Pyro's going off in the wrong place. Which
you got to be careful with that, man. You stand on the wrong part of the stage, and woo!
When we do,
you only have 3 kids. That'll be it.
Well, when we do Number of the Beast, we have these great big gushes of flame go up at the back, and there are actually 3 places for it to go up. So there's a little sort of pilot light, going off there. So that's and right in between my legs, I'm standing over the 3rd one, and I'm down the front when they go off at the end of Number of the Beast. But at the beginning, we just have 2 go off. So I'm always very careful to make sure the guy hasn't accidentally lit the pilot light. But he let one off the other night by accident. It was standing about 3 feet away from me. This 8-foot gas jet goes up. I'm like, that's not supposed to go off there.
No room for mistakes in that particular area of business. There's no room for mistakes.
I did give him a look. I mean, I have to say, I was like, ha ha ha! There goes an 8-foot gas jet.
I'll talk to you later. I was like, right now we're going to hear a live track from your band, of course, who millions of people all over the world are listening to right now, either on Radio 1 through their radios or on the internet. And believe me, this is an appointment to listen. Iron Maiden is part of Legends Week on Radio 1, and you guys are going to start with a song called The Trooper.
Oh yes,
yeah. These colours don't run. So
yes, this is absolutely true. It's all about the Crimea, and we had a good night the other night in Dublin. I've been running up on stage and waving the Union Jack, which apparently it's not supposed to be called the Union Jack. It's supposed to be called the Union Flag. It's only the Union Jack if it's being flown off the end of a boat.
Thank you for that, Bruce. You learn something new every day.
Well, I didn't know that until somebody pointed it out on the internet.
Right. I thought, what is it if it's hanging in the arms of the lead singer of the most famous heavy metal band in the world?
It's potentially
a statement.
It could be construed as a statement, but it's a positive statement about because for me, what that represents is bravery and courage.
Well, everybody, get your statements in your head and imagine it's going to happen right now on Radio 1. This is going to be fantastic. This is Iron Maiden, the first of 3 live tracks this evening as part of Legends Week. Get in there, fellas. This is Trooper.